Hello, everybody. I will say I'm sorry in advance if you happen to hear some baby screeching in the background like that. They are trying to keep her entertained in another room, but these walls are thin. So she is expressing herself very vocally through happiness screeching. This video is about the silent architect, the internal cost of one sided happiness. In the early stages of a romantic relationship, the desire to please a partner is often seen as a virtue, a sign of devotion and empathy. However, when a relationship settles into a pattern where one partner becomes the sole architect of the other's happiness, a dangerous dynamic takes root. When a partner realizes that you will do whatever it takes to keep them satisfied, they often stop carrying the weight of their own emotional well being. The burden of the relationship's success then shifts entirely onto your shoulders, leading to a profound and isolating internal cost. The process begins subtly, much like a baby who learns that certain behaviors elicit a parent's smile. A partner in a relationship learns that certain sacrifices keep the peace. You might suppress a grievance because your partner had a hard day, or you might abandon a hobby because it causes them slight insecurity. The cost here is the loss of agency. You stop being a partner and start being a contractor hired to maintain their emotional landscape. Because the other person knows you will always bridge the gap, they lose the incentive to stretch, grow, or compromise. The internal toll is the realization that your presence is valued by insofar as it provides comfort, not for who you are when you are uncomfortable or demanding. When you become the sole bearer of the relationship's happiness, you enter a state of chronic hypervigilance. You are constantly scanning your partner's mood, tone, and body language to anticipate a storm before it hits. That can cause self silencing. You begin to edit your thoughts before they reach your lips. If an honest feeling might upset the balance, it is discarded. Over time, you may even forget what your original opinion was, as well as the identity debt. By always choosing the path of least resistance for the sake of your partner, you accrue a debt to your own identity. You are living a life designed by someone else's preferences, from the movies you watch to the way you spend your weekends. The most crushing internal cost is the loneliness of responsibility. In a healthy relationship, the burden of life is shared. But when one partner abdicates their responsibility for happiness, the other becomes a servant to the bottomless pit. You begin to carry the emotional labor for two. If the relationship feels stale, it's your fault for not being exciting enough. If your partner is angry, it's your fault for not being supportive enough. This leads to a state of psychological burnout. You are running a marathon while carrying another person on your back, and the internal cost is a growing resentment that the person you love is watching you struggle without offering to walk on their own. Eventually, the internal tax becomes too high to pay. When you realize that your partner has become comfortable with your exhaustion, the love often curdles into resentment. The internal cost manifests as emotional numbness. You stop feeling the highs of the relationship because you are too busy managing the lows. Loss of self worth. You begin to believe that you are only lovable if you are useful. the paradox of choice. You feel trapped because you have taught your partner that you are infinite, and to finally say no feels like a betrayal of the character you played for so long. The internal cost of being the sole keeper of a partner's happiness is the eventual bankruptcy of the relationship itself. A bridge cannot stand if it is supported by a pillar on only one side. True intimacy requires the burden to be shared. It requires two people who are responsible for their own joy and who come together to share it, rather than one person consuming the life force of the other to stay afloat. Reclaiming yourself requires the courage to stop doing whatever it takes and to start asking what it would take for you to be happy too.